In a courtroom, the energy was thick with the smug satisfaction of corrupt officers as they high-fived one another, celebrating a victory they believed was theirs. They had won, or so they thought. The case against a young woman, Maria Carter, was a sure thing. But as the judge prepared to close the case, a voice broke through the noise, a voice that would unravel everything they thought they had accomplished. It was a voice no one had expected, and it would bring their world crashing down. Maria Carter sat rigidly in the backseat of a police car, her wrists burning from the tightness of the handcuffs. The air inside was stale, thick with the smell of sweat and cheap coffee. The two officers in front were laughing, one of them, Officer Adam Walker, grinning widely. "I told you, she never saw it coming," Walker said, his voice full of triumph as he glanced at his partner, Officer Daniel Miller. Miller laughed in agreement. "This is going to be easy. We've got her." Maria kept her face neutral. Her heart was racing, but she would not let them see her fear. She had been through this before, too many times. The system was rigged, and they thought she was just another name to be swept away, another statistic to be buried. But Maria Carter was no ordinary person. As the car pulled into the station, the flashing lights reflected off the windows. Officer Miller yanked open the door and grabbed her by the arm. "Come on, superstar," he sneered. Maria didn't flinch. She stepped out with dignity, her shoulders squared, her gaze unwavering. She was no stranger to this place, and she wasn't going to let them see her crack. Inside the station, the noise was overwhelming. Phones were ringing, officers were shouting across the room, and the air smelled like burnt coffee and something far more sinister. Maria was led past desks where officers looked up from their work, some smirking, others merely glancing. "You caught her in the act?" a younger officer asked, his voice tinged with hesitation. "Yeah," Walker replied. "Caught her red-handed, a bag full of powder in her university bag. She was just waiting to be arrested." Maria's eyes flickered to the young officer. She caught the doubt in his eyes, the way he shifted nervously on his feet. It was a small victory, but it gave her hope. Maybe there was still room for justice in this world. The officer at the desk barely glanced at her as he filled out the paperwork. "Name?" he asked. "Maria Carter," Walker replied, smugly. "Drug possession, intent to distribute," the officer added, without looking up. Maria's eyes narrowed. They thought they had her. They thought this was going to be easy, but they were wrong. Hours passed, and Maria sat alone in her cell. The weight of the system was pressing down on her, just as it had for countless others before her. She knew how this would play out. They would keep her here, let the walls close in, until she broke. Then, they would offer her a plea deal. Take the deal, or face years behind bars. But Maria wasn't like the others. She had spent her entire life learning how to fight back against systems built to destroy people like her. She wasn't going to be another statistic. A few hours later, Officer Walker entered, his smirk still firmly in place. "Here's the deal," he said, throwing a file on a table. "You can take the easy route, admit to what you did, and serve 5 years. We might even let you out early for good behavior." Maria didn't respond. She simply stared at him, her gaze calm and collected. "The hard way," Walker continued. "We take it to trial. A jury in this town. They'll tear you apart. You don't stand a chance." Maria leaned forward slightly, her voice steady. "I don't think you understand. I'm not going to take your deal." Walker's confidence cracked just slightly. "Sue yourself," he muttered, before slamming the door shut behind him. Maria leaned back, closing her eyes for a moment. The real fight hadn't even begun yet, but she was ready. The next morning, Maria was visited by her public defender, Lisa Thomas. Lisa was fresh out of law school, eager to prove herself, but still unsure of the system she was now a part of. "I'm your public defender," Lisa said, sitting down across from Maria. "The prosecution's offering you 5 years. Take the deal, and you could be out in 3. Maria didn't flinch. "And what do you think I should do?" Lisa hesitated, her eyes flickering over the files in her hands. "I think you should take the deal. The evidence is against you. The fingerprints, the surveillance footage, They have it all. Maria tilted her head. Do they? Are you sure? Lisa didn't know how to answer that. She wasn't so sure anymore. Maria continued, her voice low. You're just another cog in the machine, Lisa. You see it, but you don't want to admit it. Lisa's gaze faltered, and she looked down at the file in her hands. Maria's words struck a chord with her. She wasn't blind to the corruption in the system, but she hadn't known how to fight it until now. Maria leaned forward, her voice calm but piercing. If I take the deal, what happens then? They get to go home, Lisa whispered. They get away with it. They go out for drinks, they laugh about it, and they never think about me again. But the next time, it will be someone else, and they'll do it again. Maria's words settled heavily in the room. Lisa couldn't deny the truth of them. She had seen enough corruption to know that Maria was right, and that was when she made a decision she would fight, even if it meant going up against the system. The day of the trial arrived. Maria, shackled at the wrists and ankles, was led into the courtroom, flanked by 2 officers who seemed a little too smug for their own good. She held her head high, every step deliberate, her gaze scanning the room with cold calculation. Lisa walked beside her, her face tight with tension. She had worked tirelessly to prepare, but the doubt in her heart was still there, gnawing at her. District Attorney Andrew Callahan rose to present the prosecution's case. His voice was smooth, confident, as he outlined the so-called evidence against Maria. The defendant was caught with a bag containing illicit substances. She was caught red-handed, and the evidence is clear. Lisa rose to her feet, her voice steady. The prosecution would have you believe this is a simple case. But what if I told you that things are not as they seem? She turned to the jury. Maria Carter has no criminal history, no connections to the drug trade. Yet, she was arrested in the middle of a university campus, in front of hundreds of people. Does that sound like a simple case to you? The courtroom murmured, and Lisa's words hung in the air, slowly shifting the momentum of the trial. She had their attention, but the real twist came when Officer Walker was called to the stand. He testified about the night of the arrest, claiming that Maria was caught in the act. But Lisa, ever sharp, asked him one simple question that started to unravel everything. How many fingerprints were found on the bag? Walker hesitated. He had only mentioned Maria's fingerprints, but now, doubt had been planted. It wasn't until the next day, when Maria was called to testify, that the full truth came crashing down. Lisa stood before the jury, her voice calm as she asked Maria the questions that would change everything. Maria, were you in possession of the drugs the night of your arrest? No, Maria said, her voice unwavering. Did you know about the drugs in the bag before the officers approached you? No. Then why do you think you were arrested? Maria looked straight at the jury. It was never about the drugs. It was about control. Officer Walker and Sergeant Miller have done this before. Planted evidence, falsified reports. They've manipulated the system to lock up people they think won't fight back. The room went silent. The truth had been revealed. Lisa leaned forward. Maria, tell them what else you know. Maria's gaze was steady. I've been investigating them for 2 years. I'm not just some random person caught in the system. I'm the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The courtroom exploded into chaos. Reporters scrambled to get the story, but Maria remained calm, her words piercing through the noise. This isn't just about me, Maria said. This is about all the people they've locked away, all the families they've destroyed. They thought they could hide behind their badges, but they were wrong. As the federal agents arrived to arrest Officer Walker and Sergeant Miller, Maria felt a sense of calm wash over her. The battle had been long, but the war was won. As she walked out of the courthouse, the air felt lighter, brighter. Justice had been served. And for the first time in a long time, Maria Carter felt free. Maria's story is a reminder that the fight for justice is not easy. But when we stand firm, when we refuse to be silenced, the truth will always rise to the surface. Even in the darkest corners of corruption, the light of truth will shine through. In the end, those who abuse power will always fall, and the voices of the innocent will be heard.